because now I'm like, yes. So, and we are live.
Yeah,
And I can you see me? Are you good?
I can see you. I can hear.
Perfect. So the reason I'm doing this is because I want to log in now to my TikTok and see if I can pull it up and do a screen share
Oh,
because
so you're gonna have to look this up too, because I'm telling you, I went down the whole crystal and I was looking it up, and I swear there was parts where it kept coming up as like divine being or like really passionate and good about like something. So it's like my friend's a demon in the kitchen, meaning like great in the kitchen. Like so, I think we've been using the word demon and it's been tied to a different meaning, like all. Yeah, yeah.
okay, so
Oh,
hello, Sophia, and whoever else there was a two-person watching. So we got into this, and I was like being snarky because like I was like, hold on, sorry, my phone is on, and I hear all this stuff in the background. I apologize. I'm making a reply to somebody on TikTok because they decided to be spicy with me. Well, Crystal's really nice. I gotta tell you, I'm usually really freaking nice to people. Like, but it's in your delivery system and how you come to me. You know, it really is because I have also been treated in such ways, but I also have been the person who has treated people in shitty ways because once again, that's learning and growing, right? So I'm all about coming at people with respect. I want to know stories. I'm ignorant to life, really. I am. My love for spirit and my experience with spirit has kind of like taken me away from actual human experience. I see it through spirit's eyes, which is all love, by the way. Everything is freaking love up there, and there's no animosity, there's no whatever. But people here have a very different perspective on life, and so it is very strange to me how it can be so vastly different. But also on top of that, as an adult, I'm not ever going to be diagnosed. I've already talked to a therapist and also a psychiatrist who believe I'm on the spectrum, which I would agree with.
ew.
They were like, but you're an adult and there's no reason at this point to diagnose you and take you through all of that stuff because there's literally no point. Okay. Also, could be ADHD. I have no want or need to get that diagnosis. They've already told me it could be both. It doesn't matter. Like, because women, it looks a little different, I guess. But it makes a little bit of sense to me because I'm so disconnected in a lot of ways, but I'm also very connected in a lot of ways. And my personal perspective is these are just gifts. Like, I believe that that's why I can channel, how I channel, and how I connect with spirit. But it does create this weird space in between, like, me and people, humans. And I know people are like, we're all humans, right? We are, guys. We are all human. I'm a human, but I've never sat in that aspect of thought. And that's the catch here. That's the weird space. Um, I have been so weird in every situation and circumstance of my life. I'm freaking weird, guys. I'm not easy to get along with in crowds or people or classes of people. I'm not. I'm not the girl that's invited to the cookouts. I'm not the girl that's invited to the dances or the parties or the things. I'm weird. I just am weird, okay? And I get it, and I appreciate that that's how people feel because I could understand from the outside looking in. I would be fucking weird. Because you can't tell me that people don't know that you're able to feel and vibe. People get that. Like, and Lexi, when you feel, when you understand, you have a different persona. You do. You meet people different. You don't sit right. And before I knew all of this stuff, before I was actually trained in balance, I struggled so bad with this, like struggled so bad because I was like, what's wrong with me? This is an issue. It was high anxiety. I felt like I was going to vomit or poop myself because anxiety would be so bad. And so my gifts were not gifts until I understood them better, which was 32 years old. So,
Same. 100. And I gotta tell you, it's so funny because you talked about being on the spectrum and these gifts and the weirdness. And I have to tell you, I had a couple moments where like these like puzzle pieces were coming together. Like I'm in my 30s. I just like learned about like neurodivergent masking, all of these like terms, right? And I realized masking is what so many empaths do, right? Because we feel so much. So when we meet somebody, we're taking in so much more than just the meeting of somebody in a name and a face. We're taking in all of this shit we don't even realize that we're tapping into and feeling. So like that's why I finally can identify that it's overwhelming to meet new people. And that's where my anxiety of crowds, people, meeting new people, having to go out in public, having to go in like parties. Like I am chronically late for everything. Why is because I'm like, I'm not ready yet. Hold on. Let me ground. Let me, go through my steps. You know what I mean? Because it's just, and a lot of the times you're already tapping into the location you're going before. So you're
like 2 days, 3 days, month.
Your anxiety is kicking in because you're already picking up the anxiety of the people that are, in that energy that you're going to be like. So it's just one of those situations where I feel like it goes so hand in hand. Now we have like more conversation around it, more labels getting put on things and containers to put things in. It's nice to have language to like understand, because masking, holy shit, masking, realizing that masking is the self-pleasing, right, of others, or like the pleasing of others and not of myself. Because as soon as you would meet somebody, you're reading everything and you're like subconsciously, you're not even aware that you're starting to then be like respond in the way your energy is picking up that person will best handle the response, right? So that people goes and you start. So that's why I'm like, I can be one way with one group of friends or one person and meet another person totally energetically different. And it's like exhausting, right? It's exhausting for us that have these gifts, have all these ways, because it's so many levels of like layers to it and energy and parts happening all at once. Like we don't even realize until we that we're like picking up on ancestors and that we have that capability. Like, I don't know why I was drawn to one girl and she was like my age. We were teenagers, but there was like this grandmother like feel, like the comfort of like that like familiarized relationship, and like that like, oh, nurturing, caring, like it was just that energy around her. And it's like, now I look back and I'm like, oh, we were, I can see the bigger picture now I'm understanding it now. I can reflect back and like, oh, I appreciate it that much more. But like, wow, how cool would that have been to know sooner?
It would have been great, wouldn't it have?
People don't realize that that's why they're so drained and exhausted from interacting with people, because they're so unaware of all their gifts, their capabilities, and how it's, coming into twine. So, and that's where we were talking about like the demons, the shadow people. And I, again, feel like the low frequencies, right? When like, I know when I went through my addiction and my like really kind of challenging era time period, I opened myself up to a lot of really low frequency, a lot of like energy sucking, like kind of vampires. Like I'd pick up the negative energy in locations too, because I feel like no matter where you go, you could pick up positive energy and negative energy. It's more so the energy, like that you magnetize and, call in. So, and how you see it and perceive it. And at that point, I mean, I just thought it was cursed, and that like, man,
So I trigger people. We all know this. Crystal triggers people by her thought process and how spirit has taught her, because it is vastly different from how other people have. Okay. So my confusion in my gifts, and I will say this, I'm Scout's honor, y'all. I don't know if I'm right or fucking wrong. I have no clue, because I feel like I'm the first person who has seen spirit the way that I'm perceiving spirit. And I feel like I can't be. There have got to be other people who also receive spirit the same way I do. They just aren't out there talking about it, and they're not reflecting that because of whatever. I don't know. Maybe they're not comfortable. Maybe they just don't have an outlet or a voice or something like that yet. I have no clue. But I have not yet found people who are in the same alignment with the understanding that spirit has taught to me, which has also in my gifts caused me to be like, whoa, I suck at this. I'm not them. I don't see that way. Am I wrong? Am I doing wrong? And then that's a whole nother experience that you have to live with on that, because there's zero validation other than the people that are sitting with you that are saying yes. But also on top of that, the readings with me are effing weird. They're weird because they're based on spirit. And oh, here we go. Your spirit, it's you too. It's not just the people that have crossed over. And the perception of reality that people have is that we're solid human beings, therefore we're alive and not spirit. But what happens to the spirit inside of you when you cross over? That's what I talk to. And so if you come to me in any way, shape, or form, spirit is also going to hone in on all of the things inside of you that maybe you're starting to address, starting to understand, starting to realize, or maybe haven't even came to the surface yet. And they're just receiving the fact that you're calling them for help. And they're saying, Crystal, we've got this shit through you. We're going to give them this information. And for the first time, they're going to be able to recognize and see the spirit that exists in them. It's different and it's weird. And people, I can't tell you how many people have came to me after the fact and was like, that was not what I expected at all. Because people think that mediums just talk to grandmothers that are on the other side, fathers, daughters, aunts, uncles, whatever. We just have this one gift, this one ability. Oh gosh, no. Do you know how easy my job would be if that's all I channeled for? Because then I would be able to show up for everybody every single day and never have any questions asked. That would be simple for me. The issue with me is that they don't. They talk about all of the things. They go back in your ancestral line and talk about a great grandfather that came from freaking, I don't know, Ireland, who came to America with great big dreams and then had all their dreams like befuddled before them and then lost everything and had a really hard time and had to make it through all these things and traumas and dramas and how that affected your family lineage and how that affected you.
Are you talking about like I just felt like
yes. I don't know if you're feeling called out. I might be, but I'm not necessarily speaking of anybody. I apologize if I am. That's how this works. See, I don't even know when I'm picking things up, and that's what makes it weird because then people feel like I'm picking up on them. I'm like, it's not like I'm trying. It just is. That's just who I effing am. And if I'm in your life, you're going to have to respect that. And a lot of people don't because it makes them feel uncomfortable. And I have to understand that too. But at the end of the day, it's so weird how spirit works through me because they want to heal it all. They want to focus on it all. They want to understand it all. They want to have you experience it all. And it's a beautiful thing if you're ready for it. But if you're not ready for it, it's not. It's a little traumatic. I've had people come to me once and then come to me back like 3 or 4 or 5 years later saying that they absolutely hated me after they left. But then they were like, and then every single thing that you said in that reading started happening. Boom, 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 boom. Because everybody thinks that it's stuff that you should be able to validate in that moment. But that's not how spirit works. Because if you're somebody who doesn't trust, and there's somebody who has never seen and experienced, and you don't know that there's something outside of yourself that exists, you feel like there is, you know there is. But it's never showed it to you. You've never seen the burning bush on the freaking mountain. You've never had the Red Seas part before you. You've never had these crazy fever dreams that they speak of in the Bible, no offense. But at the same time, you're sitting here and you're like, but how do I know? And then all of a sudden, spirit comes into your life, shakes up your snow globe, you're really big, and says, check, 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 check. And then all of a sudden you're like, crap. She was right. She wasn't. She's oblivious. Part of the problem. Knows absolutely nothing, guys. Which is why I also have a hard time with the gifts.
You're a channel. You are the lamp. You know what I mean? The lamp plugs into the electricity, shines out the light. You are that. You plug into spirit, to the messages, and it just comes out. Like, you know, like you are that.
Side note, if you felt called out, I apologize. But and I am going to go back because somebody said in the comments, they said that we're having technical errors. So I just want to make sure that those are taken care of and that we are no longer having technical errors. Can you hear us? Can you see us? Are things good? And we have a lot of people here. Thank you so much. I am going to also talk about this. And I'm going to ask you, Lexi, vibe, because she's also a viber. This is Holly, and I have been to their place of business a couple different times, and they have a very energetic space. A lot of people that like to wreak havoc, essentially. And she says, Crystal, you helped us with our spirit in our shop, Brats in Owasso. My question is, if we sell it, will the new owners have an issue? we are starting the process now. And what are your feelings on this? Because
I would love to say my feelings on
you
this.
go right ahead, hon.
I think they're going to be testy. I think it's going to matter the intention of the new owners. And I think there's going to be a period of activity. And it's going to be like kind of like almost like a toddler throwing a temper tantrum. You know what I mean? And their way of letting, like, it's love. It's actually love. It's a place of love. Like, they don't want to see you go, but they, are going to probably be a little hesitant too on the new owners. So it's going to probably be like, so maybe like, have that conversation, like have them, be aware of their intentions walking in. And so that's going to be the deciding factor, I think.
So I agree 100%, which you've already hit on a lot of the stuff that I've already said in my meetings with them. I feel like a lot of the things that have happened there, because they also have elementals there. And I say elementals because it's not necessarily, it would not be classified or categorized as elementals if you Google them. Okay. But spirit shows me things in different ways once again. And to me, they group them in categories. Okay. So we have spirit, we have entity, we have energy. And then we also have otherworldly things such as elementals and what I consider H.P. Lovecraft, different dimensional beings, okay? Interdimensional is what I call them. So there's different categories. And I have seen elementals in this space, around this space. And it has absolutely nothing to do with them. However, it does wreak a little bit of havoc. And it was funny because very cool spirit there, they hadn't been listened to for years. And so that's why they're going to be rambunctious. The funny thing about this is that the people that they choose to communicate through don't want to communicate. They're like, absolutely not with a 10-foot pole. And so it was taking a lot of time to get spirit to understand the boundaries of the people because they weren't playing nice with the boundaries at all. And so we really had to do some work on teaching them how to empower themselves, to not be scared of what spirit was saying, doing, and giving to them, because spirit essentially was trying to forcibly force themselves onto people and did not give them any way, shape, or form to say no. And I think that's also a good topic at some point to discuss, because isn't that why we're all scared of this shit? Because we feel like we have no control, but you do. And the control resides in you, which is why you have to be the compass. You have to be that light and you have to be that power. I always tell people, you wouldn't allow somebody off the street to walk into your house uninterrupted. Why would you spirit?
Exactly.
It's the same thing. There are different ways to protect your space, and you just have to find what works for you and what you feel knowledgeable in or comfortable doing. And so there's just a lot of things that you can learn about that. So Holly, I'm going to say exactly what she said. Show up for yourself. Make sure that you guys say, look, this is going to happen. It's going to process whether you like it or not. We love you. We know we love you. We thank you. But we're cutting ties, welcome people in, be good people. And also on top of that, I'd wash your hands of the situation, because I don't feel like the people coming in are going to have as many problems as what you guys had, because I don't think that the people coming in that have already started the process, I know you said you've started the process, but I feel like there's already people who might be looking at the space based on what they're vibing with me. And they're almost making me feel like those people are not as open as the people working there now, specifically your husband and you. Okay. So just know, I don't think they're going to have as many issues or problems, which is why, like, at some point we can also talk about the Amityville horror. Same thing. I just have to watch my words, because I don't want to be mean to people, but I just don't believe in that story the way that it's been told. I don't want to take away from the experience that people had, because experiences are scary with spirit if we don't understand those experiences. And I've met Christopher, who lived in the house. So I understand his interpretation is it happened the way that he said it happened. But to me, I don't believe that that's what spirit was meaning to do. And I don't believe the drama and the chaos and the demonic stuff that ensued after the fact. So, and I don't believe the stories. I'm not really a big believer in Ed and Lorraine Warren. Once again, I just fucking put my nail in my coffin. I don't believe in them, and I think they're good for the paranormal in the sense that they opened up the book to us as people and they got people interested. I don't believe that they had the capabilities that they said that they did, because everything was demons, and I just don't believe in that. I don't believe it. demons. So we are going back up to Miss Sophia, who says masking doesn't have to be a negative thing. Sometimes people think I'm shady or hiding things, but it's just because I'm trying to people. It's nothing malicious. Guilty.
That's exactly how I people too.
I do too. I have to smile.
I thought that's how you people, right?
Right? I have very Sophia. Lord, I have very few people that I vibe with on this planet. Very few. And it's a handful of people who seem to live in the other side of the world, such as Lexi, Mandy, Ursula, Jesse. I vibe with people in a very small spectrum, and it's because they let me be weird. They understand that I'm weird, and they are okay with my weirdness because they're weird too in their own way. And so we just kind of allow each other to be. And Lexi, you can talk about this too. I haven't gotten that with normal people. They don't allow that in me. They always try to micromanage my thought process or the way that I feel and the way that, why are you being so quiet? Why are you doing this? Why are you staying away from everybody? Why don't you want to talk to everybody? And I'm like, you're making it worse.
I'm one where like people don't even have to say something. Like I can just feel how they respond and see it in their face. And I'm like, like, work.
Can't talk about aliens with this one.
Yes.
Don't fit in today. I hear you. This one. And also, once again, Lexi. So I'm going to say I want to do a plug for you. Okay? Because she does something every single Sunday. And what is that?
It's every other Sunday.
Oh, every other Sunday. Sorry.
Yeah. Every other Sunday right now. It is, and Kara is one of our goddesses in recovery OGs. Our little small group right now, we're trying to grow it. It is a goddesses in recovery group every other Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is just a safe, sacred space, private, sacred, safe space where we just come together, and it's really, you can come lay it on the altar. You can come and we, pray in, send love out, and we just want to create that tidal wave of positive change around. We see and talk about and hold space for recovery, for being in it, those in it, those supporting it. And it's time for a change. And so it's a beautiful space. Uh-oh, I can't hear you.
It's because I muted myself while I was drinking my coffee. I apologize. See, this is me. So I love that because what you're doing is you're giving people a safe place that's not live. So you can really bring actual conversations, actual truths, actual stories to the situation, but it's addiction in all forms, and it's also addiction for all people. So if you're a mother or a father that struggles with a child who's an addict and you want to better understand, or you want to vent, or you want to talk about the situation, you can talk about it. If you're somebody who has struggled with addiction in some form or fashion, you can come and you can talk about it, and it's a safe place. And also on top of that, I cannot tell you how I know that would seem a little off-putting to some people to group you all together, because how could we ever understand? But that's the magic. The magic is understanding the perspective of the other party involved, because that's where the understanding that you don't have to understand. Like, there's a lot of people on this planet, I could never understand why they do what they do, but I can empathize with the situation and see through their perspective why things would have been what they are. And so that's where you meet people. It's meeting people who have different thought structures, feelings, and experiences, and bringing those things together and asking people to have that conversation with you, because there's a beauty in ignorance, because it allows you to speak, communicate, and open up and talk about things while also keeping control of and also teaching yourself how to get through and work through your triggers.
Yeah.
So what Lexi is creating with Sea Goddess is beautiful, and I pray that it turns into something bigger for them, because I think it's a beautiful gift that she's giving to people to meet with and talk about those things. And that's why I just love this comment. Thank you, Kara, for being raw, real, and honest in this very live forum, because that's not easy. That's very brave of you. She said, you may call it weird, but I've never felt more normalized around other people. I used to be a social butterfly, but I hid behind alcohol to numb the empath. Now I'm the weird, sober one that talks about weird things and stays home. I like it here. So
And that's 100% me. And one of the things is with this so kind of support group, this space that we've created, it's not a one size fits all. It's not a we preach this. It is just like a space to come together and really meet everybody where they're at. And I also offer one-on-one support for anybody, whether you are a parent, you are a loved one of somebody, or you are in addiction or recovery. Just a sacred space, because sometimes when you just have somebody where you can just like open up and just get real and not be judged, not have anything shoved down your throat, but really allow shit to come up safely and held in a safe space. You know, when you're held by somebody who is energetically open and ready to receive, and also been there and
Yeah.
had to crack open to do the work. I always said I had to sit with my demons and like step out and do that work, because like the demons are just the darker parts of myself, and they're
you don't say.
they're divine darker parts that are there to help lead us to the light, right? To help us see the light too. So, I mean, there's a way to really, we need to destigmatize and de-shame addiction and recovery, and like realize like it is, you can be addicted to food, you can be addicted to relationships, you can be addicted to habits, shopping, gambling, a substance.
Trauma, stress, chaos. Those are all things that are created in our brain as children. And that's why a lot of us have chaotic relationships in our lives as adults, because
sugar is one of the biggest addictions, and it's the most normalized, and it's such an intense dopamine hit. It is exactly comparable to some of the worst drugs. Like, what would they compare it to? Crack, right? It does like the same exact. And to think that that's in like all of our food, our processed sugar, and how much, So addiction is in many forms, many forms. And, when it comes down to it, there's the parts of us that want to heal.
And, I know this isn't that people always ask, why does it say paranormal? I get these topics, conversations, and comments all the time. It says it's paranormal and you're not talking about paranormal. We are talking about paranormal. You couldn't see my finger off my camera. We are talking about paranormal because paranormal is the spirit inside of you. Again, the spirit inside of you. What are you doing to feed that? And how long have you been neglecting that? So yeah, I don't know. I feel like once we start to understand and recognize that all things surround us and support us in different ways, but also bringing these topics up, I think it's a very healing thing to help people really start to understand who they are as people and kind of build past some of those structures that have happened that were very like steadfast. We don't want to dive deeper because they're very uncomfortable. But isn't that also essentially paranormal? People don't want to dive deeper because it is scary and it is dark. And we've been taught that it's something that it's not. And that's essentially what we've been taught in society when it comes to our problems. Don't talk about those things. We need to keep those things to ourselves. What happens in this family stays in this family. And that's essentially where all of those negative things like Lexi had talked about, which is once again, I can't even tell you how much this has come up 3 times. Like that's literally what my TikTok was that I just responded to, was that the demons to me are tulpas. They're things that have been created through an energetic system of keeping a moral code or a moral compass. So people felt fear to do good. That's what spirits taught me. Okay. I'm not saying if you believe in something different, you're wrong. I'm just saying that that's not what I believe. So believe in what you believe. But at the same aspect, you can't negate the fact. You can't negate the fact. Don't come at me, bro, because I've also been baptized and confirmed. I have a Bible in my closet. I know my shit. So I will also state on the same altar of this that narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths all use their abilities, toxic abilities, toxic ego, to attach to you. They manipulate, they use, they feed off from your energy. They do all these things. Now, is a human a demon? No. Can a human be a demon? No. Because why? We're not entities. We're spirit. We're humans. So we can't. If you believe in anything science, which I also work with science, guys, I have to tell you, like, they've taught me the spirit and science have to work hand in hand to make this crap work. And there's a lot of proof behind the scientific energy of how things are, matter and such, that do go hand in hand with how spirit has taught me. But they've also explained and expressed that there is absolutely zero probable chance that any human being can become demonic after death. No way, shape, or form could it ever happen if demons existed. But also on top of that, those lower vibrational things that we hold inside of ourselves based on our own traumas, dramas, and things that we won't look at, those are those things coming to the surface inside of us. And so they've taught me essentially that these tulpas are created inside of ourselves to give us this moral code and compass, but it's turned into something super ugly because it's also a way that we demonize ourselves. And so if you have a child in your life and you're constantly saying, you're a bad boy, 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 that kid's going to think they're bad because you've convinced them their whole entire life that they are a bad boy. They're going to do bad boy things. And so from eons ago, we have been taught that if you don't do this, don't say this, don't look like this, don't walk this path, this is your inevitable truth. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. It was created from other people who don't understand the actual system. And they did it for reasons that they had to at that time. And I'm not going to say nothing about nothing. But at the same time, we have to understand that both of those things coincide, but they're inside of us. And so when we're putting that out and projecting all of our shadow crap onto other people, our toxic crap onto other people, that is essentially what demonic energy is. It's manipulation. It's toxins. It's stealing somebody's light. It's feeding off from their energy and using them until you're done with them so you can move on to your next victim. It's the same thing. Fix your shadow self, do your shadow work. And then the more we do, we won't have so many ugly people walking around spreading and projecting all of their crazy, gross, dark energy onto everybody else, which once again is just human dramas and traumas, guys. I'm not saying that the people that are ugly in your life are demons. Don't hear that. That's not what I'm saying.
It's tricked for too long. I feel like for too long, they have been using the word demon, demonic, demonology. They have put it and given it its own meaning, which is actually disconnected from the root meaning of the word, right?
Yes.
They use this word in a negative, with a negative belief behind it, because it's our beliefs that set the power into motion, right? It's our belief, our energy, our intention behind when we say the word, what we have attached, the feeling we have attached to that word, that energy behind us when we say it, when we mean it, when we think about it, what it brings up. So they have it attached to something negative. When you do your homework and you look back, do your homework, go tonight, look up the word demon, look it up in different periods, different, all the different ways, and I can't find like divine being, that it actually means like passionate, enthusiastic, powerful. No wonder why they want us using this word and having it attached to something so bad, because really it is something that is divine. And like I really feel like it is so misused and so I feel like we have been led so afar to realize what words and spells this is. And this is the shit when we say this is paranormal talk, because this is shit that they wouldn't call as normal conversation, right? And we're teaching against what is normally taught. We're taught that demon means this. No, it doesn't mean that. And we have to normalize fact that it's been we've been tricked, and that there have been people trying to convince us of things for a reason, and we need to see that bigger picture, and spirit wants us to see that bigger picture, because that's what we came down here to do.
So I have a question, because well, this is just on the topic of fun here is what we're doing. Why is an upside down cross demonic? Does anybody know where the origination of an upside down cross came from?
But I gotta tell you a funny story so you brought this up, and this is immediately what comes up to my mind. I got one of my very first tattoos. I was going through hard shit down south in Florida on my own. Young, dumb, teenager, right? 18, 19 years old, and totally disconnected from my family at this point. And I got a tattoo to try to like connect to my family. It was a rosary. And the reason I got it was because my grandma, who was very close to me, held onto her rosary. She was in a coma for 6 months.
Oh.
We would rub the rosary, and it was kind of a way of like, knowing she heard us. And so the rosary just had a lot of really good meanings. It was a sign of comfort. It was a sign of peace to me. So the rosary meant to me this connection to my grandparents and to my family, and to like this faith that it's all going to be okay, and to like, just keep hanging on. I was going through a really rough time, and the tattoo artist was like refusing to do this because he's like, no, because at this way it looks like an upside down cross. And I'm like, yeah, but it's for me, and it's a rosary around my wrist, so to me it's right. And there was this whole fight, and I was like, what is this an issue about, like the upside, like it's funny. So I don't know the origination between it, and I've always wondered, and I've always been like, I have a problem with the cross too. I don't like the cross.
So I don't know. I'm not a believer in a lot of fun things. Like everybody thinks the Masons are demonic. They're absolutely not. If you have ever been a part of anything Mason, I have. Ben is a Mason. He's a Freemason. They're absolutely not. As a matter of fact, you have to believe in a higher power in order to join. So that kind of negates that to begin with. But St. Peter is the reason for the upside down cross. He refused to be crucified the same way that Jesus was, because he didn't feel worthy of being laid to rest and crucified the same way, because he didn't feel worthy of being on the same plane as him. So they took it and demonized it, because that was his ego involved in that situation. And then from there, it just kind of took on different meanings and stuff like that. But the origination of that is actually because St. Peter decided that he did not want to be hung on a regular cross, because he didn't feel he was worthy of Jesus's energy and Jesus's example in that moment. So he asked them to hang it upside down because of that. And so his feeling of worthlessness in that moment, and not being worthy of that same energy and that same love and that same whatever, is essentially what created that inverted cross. And I always thought that was such a fun thing, because so many people have taken and they just, and I'm not saying, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with being wrong. I think there's something wrong when you can't admit that you're wrong, apologize, and say you're wrong. That's the issue. But then also when you take your lack of understanding or knowledge on the road and try to force everybody else to think that you're right. And I'm a grower and a learner. I want to know more about things. I want to know more about people, because we have to also understand that their perspective and how they live their life is based on how they have been taught to live their life. So whether you think they're good, bad, or indifferent, this is where my gifts also come in and have wreaked a little bit of havoc for me. I struggle, because I've been through my own crap. I struggle with having empathy for people who harm me, myself. Like I struggle in that. But when it comes to everybody else on this planet, like everybody has redeeming qualities, and people really don't like that about me, because I have a way of looking at people who have done really, really bad things and being like, well, and people are like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why does it have to take away from one side for you to have empathy for somebody else's side? Why do we live in an all-out, all-in purpose type of world? Why does that exist? Why can't people understand that you can have empathy for somebody and see their plight, see their situation, and see their experience with love and understanding, and be there in the best way, shape, and possible, and be like, man, that's really crappy for you. While also saying on the other end of the spectrum, you've also been through it, and I see that person did something to you. And at the same time, I get that. You're hurt. You're frustrated. I see this. I don't understand the all-in experience. And that's what I've been met with my whole life, in every situation and circumstance, because people feel like if somebody does something bad, I'm automatically supposed to hate that person. Now, that's not true at all. And I think that that's where, once again, this whole talk and this whole conversation is literally jump in and listen. Like, I don't know how many people are so opposed, or why so many people are so opposed to hearing from like the Church of Satan per se. Why are so many people so discombobulated with that? Why wouldn't you want to know what they believe and what they hear? Why would you shut them off just like this and say, no, you're demonic, without understanding where they came to their belief system and structure. What caused you to think that? I want to know what caused, because I also believe in collective consciousness, Alexis. And that means that there's a part of me that exists in them that says, F this crap. And I want to know why that part of me exists inside of them and feels that way. Like, teach me why I feel like that, because that's part of this experience and growth. Like, I'm a part of that. And so if you feel this way, teach me, explain to me, show me, because I'm not right. I haven't lived your life. I haven't lived anybody's life. I've lived my life. And it's been quite the bubble, y'all. It wasn't a big, expansive life. It's been quite the bubble. I grew up in a very small town in Charlotte, Michigan, okay? And we didn't see a lot of stuff. There's just craziness repeated over and over. There's a huge world out here with a lot of different perspectives and understandings. Why would I shut that all down? I want to know more. I want to drink up this knowledge that people have inside of their souls and hear why they feel what they feel, because that will also connect me to the other side better. It will help me get it better. Why wouldn't you want that? Why are you so quick to shut things down, people?
Yeah. It's like, it's, you know, gaining the understanding, the knowledge, giving that. I feel like we need to stop just jumping to conclusions and assumptions. And we jump to conclusions and assumptions based off of our own experiences, right?
My husband, her husband's listening today, and I'm like, woohoo! Helen's husband, sorry.
I love it. And when we're just going off of what we've experienced, we don't know. You don't know until you hear their full story, until you hear them say, what it was, what has led them to that. Because most of the time, once you hear it, you're like, oh, wow, and you have to see the different perspectives. And I think that's like part of why I love the paranormal investigation, is getting to see different perspectives, getting to hear these untold stories, right? And these untold aspects. And because somehow it always ends up making me see something within my own life too. It always ends up resonating in some way within my current life and my current experiences. And so it's always so potent and powerful when it comes through spirit. And it's funny because remember how last week I was talking about the spirit book that I wanted to share? It's Spirit Medicine, Healing in the Sacred Realms. This is like one of those reads where, well done. Well done. I was led for a reason to it. And, guys, spirit is just so beautiful. In this book, it talks about it like as in different forms, like the different belief systems around spirit, and how they all pretty much line up. It's just different words, words attached, to the same meaning and to these same concepts. And just, how much bigger we are, and what spirit is truly there for. Spirit's to help us heal, help us learn how to people in these bodies, because we are just spirit filling a vessel for an experience in this school. So we do need that connection to spirit. We do need that paranormal aspect in our lives to fully get what we're supposed to be embracing down here. So we're supposed to embrace the weird, this whole being normal and fitting into a box, and this is how it's supposed to be. No, we are supposed to question. We're supposed to want to know more. We're supposed to ask and want to hear and want to, question and gather more information. That's part of what we're here to do. So I feel like a lot of us have that earning within us to ask questions, or when it doesn't sit right, to say something, but we've been trained not to. We've been trained that it's this way, and that's what we've been told, and that's what you believe. And, you don't ask questions when, no, we're supposed to. We got to ask questions.
We have to ask questions. And I think that you also really need to open yourself up to hearing what somebody says. And before you respond, think about it, take it in. If your instant response is like, no, or that's wrong, that's your cue that you need to sit with that, because that's a trigger. And that's your cue to take a moment and think about it and breathe through the process and be like, what are they saying? What are they saying? Why are they saying that? Where did they come to that conclusion? I'm the queen of triggers. I really am. That's part of the CPTSD. I'm really just learning how to handle those things in a different way and really see them and dive into myself. And And so, yeah, everything is a learning experience. And I, too, throughout my structure of this, have been very closed off in a lot of ways, specifically in the beginning, because I was all in. I was that ultra spiritual girl. And I didn't choose to see and feel and experience the things that were happening around me. I was like with this husband at the time, and their family was all Catholic, and boy, were they Catholic. Whoo, they were Catholic, and they didn't have or miss an opportunity to tell me how Catholic they were. And it was a very weird situation because I was like, and a lot of times I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this is like very strange, because how they're saying they're living their life is not how they're living their life. But at the same time, I completely negated the negative emotions and feelings that were surfacing from the things that they were doing and saying, specifically my husband at that time, and what they were projecting onto me. Dude is in prison right now, guys. He's in prison. Why is he in prison? Because he did stupid stuff. You know whose fault it is? It's mine. I did it. I don't know how. My first husband got somebody pregnant when he was 18. You know whose fault that was on their family? Mine. I was 14, 15 years old, and I was the cause of this. We lived 3 hours away from each other. I wasn't involved in that. I wasn't there telling them to procreate, but it was my fault, because these are all, once again, when I talk about my feelings behind religion, these are the things that have happened to me in religion with religious people. I had the church members come to me. Oh God, this is such a stupid, fun story. And this is where I have to say, I got to give my PSA, guys. I don't hate religion. I think there are good people in religious structures, but religion is made from humans. Humans do bad things. Humans act in dumb ways. Okay. We can't expect all Christians, Catholics, Baptists, Mormons, whatever it is. We can't expect them all to be good, because I'm not. We're humans. We still err. Okay. But it's admitting those things that make us different. And when I was 14 or 15 years old, I had all these people from my church come to my house. Men, by the way. That's that, right? I had all these men come to my house to have a talk with me about how I was being complained about from the old biddies in the church, because apparently my energy was too provocative. They said that I dressed provocatively, but I can attest I absolutely did not. This girl's never shown her body ever. I had a fat complex when I was 15 and was anorexic. So why would I be showing my body if I hated it myself and thought that I was fat? I was never showing my body. After this, I did. Oh, did I play on this shit? So they came to my house at 15 years old to preach to me how I need to change who I was and how I projected my own self to make these old people feel like I was morally safe and sound for them. What? You kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? You don't like that you saw my bra strap underneath my freaking tank top, and you think I'm trying to, I don't know, sinfully call all of the husbands off from the pulpit and bed them all? Are you kidding me right now? How insecure do you adults have to be? If you have faith, you wouldn't have a problem with what I was doing in my life. That is a direct experience of how people in a faith-based system don't actually have faith. Because if you think a 15-year-old can come into your life and ruin your marriage just by being me, I wasn't talking to husbands. I wasn't interacting with these things. I had like a boyfriend. So where did they get this stuff? No, I was just a woman who was acting differently than what they wanted me to. And when they couldn't control me and force me to do what they wanted to based on their system of balance, because I left in that, that's when they sicked these men, pastors, to come to my house. And my mom reamed them so bad. How did she ream them? She looked at them and she was like, now hold up a second, because it also says in the Bible, and she legit started freaking quoting Bible verses at these people. She had them so uncomfortable. But then also on top of that, she turned and she looked at me. She goes, Crystal, if you didn't do anything wrong, then you don't need to change a goddamn thing about yourself. And I was like, yeah. So after that, you know what I was every Halloween when we had a Halloween thing for them? I was Mary fucking Magdalene. You know
Oh,
why? Because if you're going to call me a prostitute, then I will fucking wear that shit with a badge of honor because I didn't care. That's how saucy I was even as a teenager, guys.
I did the pregnant nun a lot.
It's like I just felt in those situations that it was absolutely crazy for me to have to fit into a structure that other adults wanted me to fit into. And they were so fearful that their sons and grandsons were going to be taken captive by my demonic womanly ways. Now, keep in mind, the preachers and pastors of this church had daughters that did wear skimpy shit, that did have their butt cheeks hanging out of their shorts. I wore knee long shorts, guys. I wore concert t-shirts with sweatshirts underneath them. This girl was not the girl they were. It was projection for what they had in their lives and they couldn't control. But apparently when their families did it, it was okay. When the outsider did it, it wasn't. And I didn't play well with that. And so that was when this all kind of started with me. And so I love how people bring religion into these topics, but don't want to ever take the chance to hear what people say and why they feel the way they feel about certain religious practices. It's because those people were very abusive. And when they should have been helping me and loving me and seeing me and helping me grow into a beautiful human being, they turned their back on me, they pointed their finger at me, and they threw stones. And none of them were without sin. Boom. Mic drop. We have so many comments, and I love you guys so very much for making the comments, and I have been reading them. You're all magical, and I'm sorry we didn't talk shadow people today. I'm sorry it went in a different way, but I also feel like it was super cool and divine and awesome, and we had a good talk. I feel like we had a good talk.
I feel like it was just what was needed. It's so funny that you said about Mary Mac, because I just did in the Kyle Gray book, was reading about her, and oh my gosh, like, oh, we're gonna have to just cover her because she's amazing and she deserves some love.
I think that there's a lot of things that deserve a lot of love. And as I stated, there's a lot of people that will never change their mind. And that's okay too. Because those people show the rest of us that want to grow what not to be. That's
Amen.
how I feel. The people out there who choose to stay stuck and don't grow in life, those are the ones that are showing me what I don't want to do for myself, because I don't want to be the same person when I die on my deathbed as I was when I was a 15-year-old know-it-all. So I feel like it's truly important to embrace change, understanding, and growth, and listening to people. And it's really funny because as we were talking, something told me on that TikTok that I made. Apparently I'm being cursed, y'all, now. Demons are gonna come after me. Oh, I'm so scared. So I have a way of triggering people, Alexis. So she responded and said, instead of practicing any form of religion, but I'm gonna let you have it, considering my ancestors will deal with you. Also, I love that you made it where I can't respond. Actually, I didn't make it how she can't respond. I don't know what she's talking about. She did respond. Yes, she did. I don't have duets or anything on any of my TikToks. It's not personal, honey. It's not personal to you and who you are. Oops, sorry. Camera, where are you? It's not personal to you, Ashley Spinelli. I don't let anybody do that. Make your own content. Stop trying to fucking pull off from mine. Gross. Also, I love how you made it where I can't respond. You need to do a lot of research. And if these are your beliefs, then you should be an atheist. You are mad or something. Nobody told you you were wrong, but I'll give you the response you're looking for once I get off work. Okay. Checkmate. I don't care. That's the point. This girl doesn't give a shit. That's the unaffecting point of my life. I don't care. Spirit has taught me not to give a fuck.
Yeah. See, this is probably why I stay off TikTok, because it's like, you know, one of those things where it's like, you know, I hear peepers. Like, you know, like,
right? I bring up conversations that are cause for thought.
Yeah.
Because that's what spirit does to me. They bring thought into my life and they
Yeah.
teach me to grow. And if you think I am untriggered every single day, boy, you would be wrong. Ben and I have this conversation all the time because they're constantly bringing triggers to me. I have to do this too.
Every morning. I wake up triggered every morning. Immediately upon waking up, the battle of the triggers. And playing whack-a-mole all day long with them.
Yes.
Fucking triggers all day long.
And you have diagnosed ADHD, don't you?
Oh yes.
Okay. So you probably also have that split part in your brain. I tell my therapist I feel like I'm multiple personalities sometimes because I have the human version of myself and I have the spiritual version of myself. And then I have this other version that's I don't want to play with you, any of you. Like I just want to cave and be alone and be in my solitude and stop listening to the thought processes that are coming in from both spectrums, but also understanding with logic that this is all love and light and that's fine. This isn't all love and light, and that's fine too. It's finding the balance in those two things that I do struggle with still. I'm not going to lie to people. I do still struggle with that, but that's where all of that comes in. And so they're constantly questioning me. It's not about other people. If you do something wrong, they're not going to make me question you. Right. They'll never make me question you. They'll never look at me and say, well, Lexi was just a jerk today, wasn't she? No, that's myself. You are who you are, and you say what you say and you do what you do based on where you're at, just like her. She can be spicy and saucy and believe whatever she wants, and I'm still going to bless her with love because she deserves that. She's obviously in a state of being and mind that is not happy. But at the same time, I just don't care because that's her perspective in her life, and she has the right to live it the way she wants, just like I do, just like you do, and just like all you beautiful people in the comments do. And nobody should try to micromanage that for you.
Yeah. I always think it's funny that people always have to put their 2 cents on in comments. I got to the point where I think I used to probably be one of those people that always had to put my 2 cents and always have to like interject my thoughts. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, is it worth it? Is it worth my energy? No. Sometimes I do feel like it's worth my energy, but it's one of those things where it's like, you know, we can let our thoughts go too. You know what I mean? We can read something, totally disagree with it, and move on and not feel like we have to defend. And so
what? You mean your day will not collapse and ruin? Are you kidding me?
And it's funny because a lot of the times I feel like the times where I want to say something, I'm triggered for a reason and I have to look at that trigger. And in this situation, I see this as a trigger. Triggered something within her. And it's funny. You should be considered.
All I said was that demons can't possess you through Ouija boards, by the way. That was the original post. That was it. That's all I said. Okay. And maybe they can possess her. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I feel like a demon is if you think you have a demon, then you're gonna have. You think you have a demon. It's your thought. Demons are your thought. It's your negative thoughts. I truly believe demons are just your negative thoughts. The things that you've suppressed. It's the darker aspects. They're divine, and we just refuse to see them as divine. We drink the cup of Kool-Aid they gave us and believe that it means this instead of doing our own research and believe, you know, all the rambling, all the 2 cents, right? Instead of doing that work and listening. We listen to the chatter on the outside when really we need to be focusing on what's being channeled on the inside. What is spirit saying to us?
So I feel like, I'm sorry, it cut off again. I really don't mean to interrupt you. The sound cuts off on my end for some reason, and I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh no, that was it.
So the only thing I'm going to say about this is, I guess in closing, because it's really on the scale of life, this is not a big deal. I have people in opposition to me all the time, and that's fine. Which is why I want to learn. Like, teach me with love. I'm a big advocate for come at me with love and understanding and tell me what you feel. Don't just like rant and rave and be crazy about it, because I'm not going to understand what you're saying. You know, before you come to me, have a thought process and a purpose. Speak with purpose. Say what you mean and mean what you say. That way I can receive what you're giving to me. If you just scream and yell at people, nobody's going to receive what it is that you're saying anyway, because it's not going to come at you from a space of understanding. It's coming at you from a space of toxicity. And I'm not going to play that shit. I've been through enough in my life. So I wouldn't be opposed to hearing what she has to say still, by the way, still, even after all that craziness. I did block her. But even after all of that, I would still be not opposed to hearing what she says if she comes in a calm, presented manner. Because I feel like all of us need to think before we speak when speaking about our practices. Why? Because somebody out there might need what you're teaching. And if you're teaching with ugliness and hate, nobody's going to receive what it is that you're trying to say. And so shouldn't you take a little time to focus on what it is that you're really trying to project into the world? Because to me, that's what it's about. So I don't know. It is what it is. I'm not going to get too bothered by too many people because good God almighty, if I had a freaking dollar for everything that people have told me they don't agree with and how many times I've been called a witch, I would be rich. I wouldn't have to work.
I am so aware. Call me weird. Call me whatever you want to call me.
Yeah, it is what it is. So I love you, my dear. It is 10:04. How can people get a hold of you? And it also is in the description.
Oh, thank you. I'm over at seagoddesshealingarts.com. I'm the mermaid and I have a code if you want to book a one-on-one session with me, Lexi15 for 15% off my services. And then there's also Shadow Twerk coming up. It is a retrograde shadow twerk session with the beautiful sea goddess Mandy Elam. And we are going to be holding that space for the shadow work.
Oh, wait, you mean cleansing yourself of your internal demons? You don't say.
Daisy, no, not cleansing yourself. Instead of cleansing yourself, we're gonna hang out with our demons because our demons are actually pretty divine, fucking awesome. So,
you just reminded me of that meme. Have you seen the meme with the girl and she's like, me and my demon, and it's like them and like a demon sitting there with a selfie? That's what that reminded me of.
You have to send that to me because I want to make shirts that says just sweating it out with my demons, or what I forget. I had it. I sent it to you. We'll make them.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'll find the meme and I'll show it to you because I was like, that's exactly how I feel. That's what I tell people. Like, you can't, if you're not gonna understand why they're coming up and why those darker parts of yourself exist, and you're just gonna run from them, then you're never really gonna know who you are. You have to be able to work those things. That's what balance is. It's good, it's bad, it's yin and yang. It's been taught for eons. Balance of internal spirit self has been taught for eons in a lot of ancient cultures and a lot of ancient knowledges. And we really have to learn. And I'm not saying befriend internal, external. Don't do weird seances. Don't do stuff that's going to invite ugliness into your life because it will come if you ask it.
And it's coming.
I was like, yeah, you don't do that. I'm not an advocate for allowing stuff like that or calling those things into your life because none of us want that for ourselves. The issue is that when people call that into our space and call that into our life, generally speaking, it comes in different ways. It comes through people. It comes through situations. It comes from tragedy. It comes in different ways. And then people are like, oh, well, it's this fault. Well, yeah, kind of let it in. There's always a door. And so figure out what your door is. Figure out what's in your basement. And then bring that basement up to the surface and start to dig through it. Start to dig through all those things in your attic or in your basement and in your space that you haven't looked at for years because you didn't know what box you put it in. Organize yourself. And so when Lexi talks about shadow twerk, that's what I see. I see you organizing yourself, your energies, your understandings, your capabilities, and also trying to bring those things to the surface that we either forgot existed or we've pushed down in our existence to try to fit in and put on that mask, like Lexi said earlier. So yeah, face those things, but also don't invite ugliness into your life and be really meaningful when you talk to people and expand on people. Also, I will say, Mandy and I will not be live tonight. Mandy has a class. She's teaching her cards. So there's still time. You can get on there. You can get yourself in if you want to do that. There's still time. She will welcome you with open arms, but she's going to be doing that tonight. So we're just going to give her love and we are going to let her have her night with her Tarot Tuesday. And I also have something fun in the mix of my life that actually goes hand in hand with this, which came to me at 2:00 in the morning, by the way. 2:00 in the morning, I'm sitting there and it's just like flowing through me. It's completely in line with who and what I feel. And it's going to be called oh boy, it's going to be called My Ignorant Truth. Okay. And it is based on my own ignorance of other situations, scenarios, cultures, jobs, people, life. all of the things. And I want people to talk to me. I want people to come onto my channel, onto my show, and have an hour to explain their situation. It could be a tragic experience. It could be a loss of life. It could be what your job is and how people look at it and what you do and what that means and how much it takes out of your life. It can be anything. It can be any topic. I'm just going to say, though, like always, my stuff is a safe place. And so we have to make sure that we have an open door to love and understanding and honoring people, because I want everybody to be able to receive your messages. And I want everybody to be able to receive your truth. And if you speak it with hate and animosity towards one person, culture, experience, it's never going to be received. And so if you're going to bring it to my channel and bring it to my space, make sure that it's done with enough love to be received from all ages and all groups, because we have to be that. So if you're open, or you know somebody who might have a story, a scenario, has a practice, has a thought process, has a way of doing things that's different, and you're interested, let them know that I'm doing that. And they can send an email to me, and that's spiritspeakscj@yahoo.com. So my ignorant truth is going to be in the process pretty soon, because I have found through spirit, once again, and it's no fault to them, they teach me beautiful, wonderful things through empathy, but it's all done through empathy alone. And so I don't get to feel those earthly vibrations, and I don't get to feel those things, which when I feel them in my own life, it causes a little bit of chaos. So I want to stop feeling the chaos behind the narrative and behind the experience, and start to open my perspective to the different life experiences that other people live on a daily basis. And I also feel like it's a good experience to open that space, because right now in this world, we are so divided in so many different ways. And it's based off from not understanding the truth behind the people who are experiencing the situation.
Amen.
And so no matter what it is, you can bring it. Just make sure that you do it with love and purpose, and you know what you're talking about, because I try to be all love and light, y'all. But once again, I got my own set of things in my basement, and they will come out, and my face doesn't lie. I'm one of those people. Where are the feelings on my face?
Oh my
What?
God.
Are you kidding me?
I try so hard sometimes, and you realize after the eye roll, or after the jaw drop, right? Or the
yes.
woo!
I love you, and I hope that you have a great and wonderful night. All of you, by the way. I love all of you. I thank you for coming. I thank you for chatting. Next week, possibly, we will do shadow people, because we missed that topic this week because I was so spicy about my TikTok when I got on.
But it was such a relevant topic, though, and such a good one, because, I feel like sometimes people label the shadow people as demonic. And
Oh, yes.
This is leading into it perfect. Just trust the process.
I love that. Alicia says, it's 111. It's not here right now. It's 10:11 here. But yay, it's 111 where you live. It's like it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So I love you guys all, and I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful week. Once again, stop in with Mandy if you want to know more about tarot cards. The Sea Goddess Healing Arts website is located in the description of this, so you can follow that and go to their website and see the classes and stuff that they're putting out. They not only have classes, they also have a lot of other stuff that they're working on and do in their daily life and their daily tasks as well. Ursula's got an amazing, amazing program. If you're into anything astrological, please find, and it is Chiron. What is the name of it? I can't ever remember. Becoming Chiron. I can't ever remember the becoming part, and I don't know why. It drives me nuts. But it is so knowledgeable, and she gives so much information regarding what's taking place on the planet and could be inside of you at the same time. And so she helps us make sense of all that crazy chaos that's happening around us, okay? So if you're into any of that stuff, please give her a follow as well. She's also on the Sea Goddess YouTube page. Love y'all. Hope you have a great and wonderful day. Many blessings to all of you. Seriously, with love, not with my demons. I'm just joking.
Deal with your demons.
I hope you have a good day, guys. Seriously, love you. Bye.
Bye.